If you follow my channel at all, you've likely noticed that I haven't put out anything for a few weeks, because it's quite honestly hard to figure out what to put out. I'd like to put out some more lighthearted, fun videos that are just about things that I care about, but honestly that feels a little trite at the moment, considering everything that's going on in our world. And on the other side of that, I want to tackle the heavier issues in our world, but not only is it just generally kind of daunting because of how much research I would like to do, it's a little soul-crushing. There's a lot of really terrible things in the world right now, and it's hard to keep up at all. But I've been wanting to do a tea review for a little bit, and ultimately I'd like it to be something where I have like a guest that joins me and we sit and we have this tea and we talk about it. But as there's, a plague on, I decided that maybe a guest wasn't the best idea. So instead today you just get me. All tea basically comes from the same plant. It's all from the genus Camellia, and most teas are either from the species Sinensis or the species Assamica. The differences in kinds of tea, like green tea or black tea or whatever, are differences in the processes used once the tea has been harvested. So what they do to it afterwards is how you get the different kinds of tea. The one I want to talk about today is a variation of Earl Grey tea. Earl Grey is a black tea, but it's not just the leaves that you get. It's more of a blend, kind of a cocktail. Typically, it consists of some kind of black tea, usually a Ceylon or an Assam base, and it's coupled with oil of bergamot, and sometimes peels from that as well, or different citrus fruits. Because of this, there's no one set kind of Earl Grey tea. It's a recipe. It's like an old-fashioned. You mix all the ingredients together, but what specific ingredients you use, how you mix them in what proportions, that's what determines the different flavors, but all of them can be recognized as an old-fashioned. Earl Grey tea is the same. This brings me to my go-to morning tea, which is the Earl, made by Abby's Teas and Things. Abby is based here in Little Rock and uses local ingredients where possible to make her own in-house blends of fantastic loose leaf tea. Her version includes a Ceylon base as the black tea, blue corn flour, bergamot, and orange peel. While I personally like to sweeten mine with just a little bit of honey, I think this tea comes across just fine without it. And that's not something I can typically say about all kinds of Earl Grey tea. If you go to Walmart or even somewhere better and buy some Earl Grey tea and just steep it, you're probably going to end up with something fairly bitter, and you're going to want to add something to it. Hers, I think, is smooth and balanced enough that you can enjoy it without sweetening it, though I personally like to. Black teas in general are fairly strongly caffeinated, and this makes them an awesome morning brew. If you're looking for something to get you up out of bed and are maybe not much of a coffee person, Abby's The Earl is one I can strongly recommend. If you're located here in Arkansas and want to check out her stuff, just come into Little Rock. Her store is on Kavanaugh in the Hillcrest district. I would say come hang out because honestly, it is the happiest place on planet Earth. It's got a lovely decorated interior and it's just a pleasant place to be. However, obviously, there's still a plague on, so buy her tea from her outdoor tea stand, say hi, maybe buy a cookie. She's a fantastic person to buy from. If you're not from around here, you can purchase from her online store and you'll find that everything that she has is reasonably priced and I can personally vouch for how delicious it is. A little goes a long way with her tea. You really don't need to overuse it. And as somebody who pays kind of an inordinate amount of money at her store, you can get the most out of even just a little bit. So go check it out. Link is in the description below. Hey, if you liked today's video, please consider going over to Patreon to support me. This isn't a job for me, but it does cost me money to do this, from buying tea to the books that I use for research, or even just my monthly overhead of having a bigger Google Drive than your average person. It builds up after a while, and it would be nice to be able to break even on that. There's also a lot of other great YouTubers who are a little small at this moment, and you should consider checking them out. One in particular I found great recently was Conversortium's video on defunding the police. Link is in the description below. It's good stuff. You should go check it out. Thanks for watching. It's good. It's good. It's delicious. This is, well, it's not my favorite, but it is my go-to.